It's over. Oh, finally. I was about to have to start playing the Mariah Carey Christmas album. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is the final update in the 18-way spray sealant coating, not true coating, spray sealant test. We've seen a whole smattering of products. This test started on June 7th, and it is November 3rd. So it's just shy of 5 months, and we are at the point where it is time to call it. There's just no real point following it any longer. Than you'll see why. Everything's kind of dead. Even the good products have reached their natural conclusion. So I do have wash footage from, I think, about a month ago or so. I will put the text on screen. If I still have it, I'll double check that if I do or not. If I don't, I'll put that text on screen too. If I do, I will put that footage in before the final wash footage. And what I've done is I've taken notes, not here, but later on in the book, after washing and after letting the car sit in the garage overnight, dry out, and then rechecking. So basically the car needed a bath. So I gave the car a bath, I did the interior, put it in the garage, I dried out the interior because there was, just a lot of residue and I had to clean a bunch of car seat malarkey crap. So I used a lot of cleaner when I was doing the panels, and I just wanted to dry everything out leading into the very wet months coming up. So it sat in the garage overnight with some heat. So it was probably 22, 23 degrees in the total in the garage. So we did the check the next day to see if the winners after washing it were the same winners after the full day. Because this has been a theme we've been seeing. After the update, checking which products were doing the best, and then going to check them while still even sometimes dirty, the next time round, those ones that were winning or aren't in the lead. So there's this flip side after a bit of time without chemical and detergent and just letting them air out, especially through the summer months. The other products seem to come back to the surface after some time. Now it's November, so the UV index is gone, essentially. It wasn't super hot out during the washing of this. I think it was around 10 degrees. But it did sit in the garage, so it did have that time to really evaporate fully off and let the detergents, like it was towel dried and everything. So it should be as good as you can get it. And again, you'll see we are done. This test is over. So I'm going to stop yammering and put up the footage of leading up to, I'll put text on the screen, the final just shy of 5 months update. It was filmed like 2 days ago. So it's all very recent to recording, and then we'll cut back in and I'll overlay the footage of the last update with my narration for the after wash and after a day results. So we'll put in all the wash footage and all the fun stuff, and I'll put in all the necessary info. We'll meet back here for the final roundup, and we'll get into some winners. I don't like giving winners, but ones that stood out in this situation. So anyway, let's watch some footage. Okay, so we have seen all the footage leading up to this, may or may not, including the previous month's footage. I don't know why I didn't make that video. I just didn't. But oh well, we get it now. So I'm gonna go through first the after wash results. Like after washing and rinsing all that stuff and checking. And then we'll do the day after. So they've had the time to dry out, towel dry off, all that kind of stuff. So you can see the contrast, and there's not a ton of contrast, but there is a little slight differences, including one that kind of surprised me when I was looking back at the footage. So we'll start with the afterwash. So we're gonna look at the top row, and then the middle row, and then the bottom row. And this is very important. And sorry, I'm gonna throw the footage on in a second, but I wanna get this out there. When you are checking the hydrophobics on a panel and you've got rows of competitors, like I always seem to do, you cannot flood the whole panel on a not flat surface and grade them equally because there is a runoff. You have to check per height level on its own with nothing above. So the top row, I can flood the bottom of the hood, but ideally you want to just sort of flood that area and check it. If you flood something up here and then try and check down here, this water, depending on the type of hydrophobics of that product, is going to flood into that section and mask what it would actually do if there wasn't a constant pool of water filtering into it. So pay attention to that. You cannot flood here and gauge here because it's getting water dumped onto it. So you have to go one row, let it rinse off, do the next row, rinse off, and so on. And you'll see that I've controlled the hose and the spray pattern so that we can flood it and watch. And you'll see there's very little, if any, pooling above leading into that section below. There's a little bit of cutting because I was waiting for sections above to finish draining off before I could do that next check. If you've got a product here dumping water down and fully flooded and a hydrophobic product here, it's going to be harder for it to push all of its water off because it's taking water from somebody above. So mini rant over, but that's very important when you are testing multiple sections, multiple rows of products on a hood. So after wash, top row. The top row consists of Infinity on the far left, as you're looking at it, then Parla In and Quartz Max. And then on the other side, moving towards the right, we've got Quartz Max Plus, Griots 3-in-1, and Ceramic Slam, the old version, the 5-minute cure version. I have both now. We'll look at that in the future. And based on what I'm seeing when it comes to overall water evacuation, Quartz Max Plus seemed to do the best after the wash, which is a bit of a shocker because in my previous update, albeit a couple months ago, I said it was poo. And for the price, I still think it's poo, but it did the best out of this row. So top poo to you. Overall, yeah, so that's where that is after the wash. Again, we will check back after a day and see if that changes. Middle row, we've got going again left to right. We've got Geon Cure Redefined, Colonite Bead Coat, Cleans Ceramic Spray Coating, I think it's called, Sealant Coating, one of the two. DIY Gold Standard, not Gold Standard, that's their polish. They probably do better than this. Ceramic Gloss, ADS Ceramic Spray Coating version 2, and then Cerakote Platinum Rapid Ceramic Paint Sealant. I don't think I said that properly. So that is our middle row. Again, I'll put all the names on the screen so you don't have to listen to me say it. And on this row, after the wash, the standouts are Bead Coat, and honorable mentions, runner-ups essentially, is ADS Ceramic Spray Coating V2 and the Cerakote. They both seem to be a pretty tight 1, 2, 3, but it looked like Bead Coat was on top here. Moving along to the bottom row, bottom left to right. Again, the very far left and very far right sections on this part are very small, and I wish they could be bigger. However, I can't make the hood bigger and make this still legal to drive on the road. So it is what it is, but we squeaked some competitors in here for funsies. So far left, you've got PNS Defender. In from there, you've got Bola P27. In from there, you have Sonex Ceramic Spray Coating. In moving towards the right half on the inside, you've got ADBL Synthetic Spray Wax, I believe it's called. Who cares? If you live in North America, you kind of can't get it. Moving from the right from there, you've got Fireball Pirouette. And lastly, you have Turtle Wax Seal and Shine V2. So, based on the bottom row, it looks like Bola and Fireball are kind of tying up there for first place as far as dropping it off, with honorable mentions being Sonax and ADBL. So, but now we're going to go to the footage from the day after. Thank you. Showing how they're doing with the day of evaporation, the towel dry, just that warm up, that reset, I guess you could call it, because there's some changes. Top row. It's again, same products. I'm not going to say them all again. I'll put all the names on the screen. It is looking to me like a very clear Griot's victory. This probably won't come as a shock to many people. It has been one of the darlings of the I don't care, just stay on the panel type spray sealants. And the reputation still holds true. It is not pretty off the get-go. It is not fantastically amazing in any one area, but it just shows up and participates in sort of all categories. Some a little better than others, but nothing is magnificent, but it just sticks around in some capacity. So after the day, it looks like Griot's is on top, and Parla would be a little closer behind. I find Parla seems to be like a cousin of the Griot's one. Smells nice too. I think it was a little lighter to apply. So both of them, I think overall would be good value. I just think, or a good product, I should say. I just think Griot's is slightly better value, especially in certain markets. But Parla I have no issues with for a spray sealant. It did stick around and hold a decent performance well into this test. So dropping down to the middle row, now we've got a slight flip around as well, but very close. Again, considering how slow they're moving, it's it's like snails racing when you think of the intensity, but they're very, very close when between ADS is now slightly edging out Colonite Bead Coat, and Cerakote is a little bit behind those two. It was a clear 1, 2, 3 in this instance, but yeah, ADS and Bead Coat, depending on the time of day, they're trading blows here, and they were doing very well for the first bit. Now, on the bottom row, after the day of curing, it's pretty clear to me Sonax is doing best, and ADBL was not far behind, but Sonax did push the water off the panel first. So that's where that is when it comes to the day after. Now, let me cut this and get some props, and we will go over some honorable mentions. Okay, so sorry about that. I had to deal with a awoken baby, but I've got my props, and let's get into the just overall winners. Now, I've categorized these winners by specific characteristics. So like hydrophobics, the best long-lasting products with good hydrophobics, the best just long-lasting product, and then kind of a value award, I think. So, and some of this is based on testing I'd done previously, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, the best products in this comparison, again, under these circumstances on this car, I think long-term, if you just wanted a product to last, there's two clear choices: Griot's and Parla. Overall, especially considering the top of the hood is where it's flatter and there's less assistance to move the water off, these two stood above the rest. They're not pretty off the hop. They don't have crazy round beads or anything like that. They're not particularly pretty looking, or they're particularly great to apply. They're not miserable though. You know, in North America, this is probably a better value than this. This is 500 mils. This is 650. So, especially in North America, this is probably your better value. Maybe across the pond, this is a better value. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but both of these can really stick around on the panel. And I, you know, credit where it's due, even if they aren't like, you know, the prettiest one out there, they definitely were there. So that's how I see these two. If you want a spray that just lasts, one of these is a good choice. Moving along. The best winners when it comes to beading. So a very high beading level that lasted a long time. Not as long as those, and didn't make it to the end, but these were also products that lasted to the end, but they had better hydrophobics for a good majority of this test, or at least the longest portion for how long they lasted. And that will be technically 3, one's an honorable mention. Colonite Bead Coat and ADS Ceramic Spray Sealant. These guys hop back and forth throughout this comparison about who was beating who in that row, that second row. And both of them did a very good job of maintaining their hydrophobics. And a special mention, and I'll tell you why, is Cerakote's Platinum Rapid Ceramic Paint Sealant Protective. The world's is too long of a name, but it's a good product. And that one gets a nod because I did a test leading up to this test with 9 products on my hood. Let me find my notes. Oh boy, where are they? Should have page marked it. Oh. There it is. I had it against Quartz Max Plus, Quartz Max Bola P17S, P17, P27, Z27, which do not buy, or Z17, I can't remember, but it's the gray ball, don't buy. And Cure Redefined, as well as Ammo's Ceramic Spray Sealant, which I am not ready to tackle that video, but that's going to be spicy. And this thing wiped the floor with them in the center of the hood. Now this test started back in March, so it was the beginning of spring. And I followed it for at least 2-ish months, and it was the whole panel flooded, and this thing just fricked the water off the hood. So in that test, leading up to this test, it kicked ass. So yes, this test, it wasn't the strongest showing. Again, it was way off on the edge of the hood. It's not a flat test panel. You got to sort of take it as it is, but it did really well in the past. So I'm giving it honorable mention that under the right circumstances, and if you're looking at more of a whole car picture, this can be a very, very good product. And its price keeps coming down, I think, on the Amazons. And it's very easy to apply. It has good hydrophobics, comes with cloths and all that kind of stuff. So a very good product. But when it comes to high hydrophobics for the longest amount of time, I think these two did a great job. Again, this is the V2 version of the ceramic spray coating from Armor. So if you've got V1, it is not the same performance. But this guy and it both did a great job, I think. Especially if you want like a couple months of solid hydrophobics and then a reapplication, easy choices. Again, you could probably use a lot of detailers and just do it more often, but if you wanted the spray coating thing, where you're topping a coating, if you're into that, and you wanted the topper, you know, to last a little bit longer and have good hydrophobics off the hop, both of these are a good choice. So that's how those go, along with Cerakote. I think Cerakote would obviously be a great topper for their coating. It's hydrophobic, it's easy to apply, it's like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so that. And then finally, best value. And that, for me, is Sonax. I have looked at this product in the past on the roof against another product from Simonize, and it genuinely kept moving water. Again, this is the roof, so the least exposure, but it kept moving water for 4 months, no problem. And even at 5 and 6 months, you could still see it doing something. It wasn't crazy, but it was doing something. So when you factor in here, I think it's around 25 or so bucks for 750 mils. It's a great price. It's not a brute to apply. It's not the slickest thing out there, but their detailer plays with it so nicely, and it is much slicker that this and that as a 1-2 punch for like 45 bucks or so, 50 bucks for 1.5 liters worth of coating and detailer. It's a really good proposition. And the detailer is genuinely slick. It's really nice to use. So when it comes to value, I will say this, and I would offer up potentially, I don't know what the pricing is for this. I've heard people say it's a pretty good value. But again, Sonax in the European markets is also pretty good value. So I don't know how these compare. I think this is smaller though, but it's also very good, and it was matching Sonax. So depending where you live and what the pricing is, this might be a better value, and it's very similar in performance to this, it seems. In where I live, this is a great value. This is not purchasable, so it's a backseat. But yeah, I think that this guy here, overall for value when it comes to hydrophobics, long-term lasting performance, it does do a decent job at improving visuals. It's not the best application experience, but it's not terrible. Again, that's where I would put it. So yeah, that's sort of my takeaway. Again, I don't like singling out and giving specific winners because this is a very specific test. That weather pattern will probably never repeat itself exactly how it did. So these results are not duplicatable. So take that for what it's worth. But just in this short 5 months span, when it comes to 18 different sealants, I really enjoyed how these performed in the specific ways that I'm characterizing and sort of ranking it this way. But yeah, I don't think you could choose wrong in any one of these. Again, pricing and all availability, you filter it by yours and use the test to just see what it did. But you can't really go wrong with any of these. You should be happy with any of them. They'll get the job done. So that's it for this one. Little update here. This car is going to be semi-retired from testing because there's something I want to do to offset the ranked review series, to give it sort of a flip side of the ranked, a very unscientific, a fully anecdotal, subjective type video with still, reality being in there. But and I'm going to retire this car from testing for the most part to do this. I won't be able to run tests, long-term tests on this car and do this series. So that's coming up. I haven't started yet. It is the winter time and it does take a lot of prep per video for that one. So we'll get into those when I get into those, more on that later. But that's the way it is. The van is prepping for a new test. It's going to be a big one. So I should be doing that this weekend, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. And you'll see that soon. So anyway, thank you for watching. It's been a bit of a long one, but it was a long test. So yeah, there we go. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.